record
Special
button.
content.
Today, we are going to be focusing on not just ourselves and our rights, like with Liberty HealthShare, who's giving us the right to choose or helping us keep the right to choose, but we're also going to be speaking with Dr. Marlene Siegel. She is a holistic veterinarian from, it's called Lutz, Florida, and Tampa. It's near Tampa. And so I just know that we're going to learn how to be able to not just return us to nature, back to nature in the way that it was intended before all the electronics, before everything was happening in our lives, but also our pets are being affected now. And so I thought this is a very timely conversation because we're all being affected by sources outside of ourselves, and we need to start taking our life back. So fasten your seatbelt because we're going to learn and grow together. It's time to dance, everybody. Here we go. Matt?
The Lillian McDermott Show.
We love, we fear, bridges we burn, we make mistakes, then we live and learn. When life gets tough, and it seems like your best ain't good enough. If you're in need of hope, you know where I'll be right here. Right here, and when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here, waiting for you.
This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian McDermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening and viewing friends at facebook.com/Lillian's radio show. I'm so glad we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful best day ever. And for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, please know I've been waiting for you. This is a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide alternative ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening, as well as our viewing friends, our teachers' pets, on facebook.com/Lillian's radio show, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of our dreams. Now, unfortunately, living the life of our dreams isn't as simple as just saying, this is what I want. Because sometimes there are other people, there are other entities that are choosing for us, even before we even know. We don't know what we don't know. So today, I wanted to share about Dr. Marlene Siegel, who was someone I reached out to when I first started learning about holistic health, about changing. It was my first assistant that I ever had. Her name is Brittany. And Brittany had a little dog that was really, really sick. And so she found Dr. Siegel. And I believe it was Dr. Siegel because, the memory just flooded when I first met her. And this little dog named Lily was her baby. And because she was learning about holistic health through the classroom, she wanted to give that gift to her puppy, her baby. And so for many times we tried, but we could never get connected. But what's interesting is that we were sitting next to each other many times and we didn't know who we were. As a matter of fact, the last time at the ACIM conference, she was being interviewed by Robert Scott Bell as I was next door to her in the next booth. So the universe has brought us together, just like the universe has brought Liberty HealthShare into my life as well. And keeping in mind, today is about becoming aware that there are things that we can do and not just leave it to somebody else to make these choices for us. So we have Liberty HealthShare, Matt Bellis. We also have Dr. Marlene Siegel, who has a beautiful health center. That's when we got together, as I went to her EVOLOVE Conference Center or Event Center in Tampa. And so we're going to have a wonderful conversation. Please keep in mind that if you have a question, make sure you type a Q and write your questions, because everybody loves our pets, but we also need to protect for our rights. And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am grateful that Dr. Siegel is here. Dr. Marlene Siegel is here, as well as Matt Bellis of Liberty Health Share. Welcome, guys, to the classroom.
Good morning.
Good morning. Okay, so we're going to start with Matt. And Matt, you were just out, because I think the last time you weren't able to make it into the classroom because you have been very, very busy protecting our rights. So share a little bit about what's going on and a little bit about Liberty Health Share.
Well, part of my job within communications and Liberty Health Share is public affairs and government interaction. And on Tuesday, I believe we were scheduled to meet, and I had some meetings go over and what I was doing there in DC. I only live about a couple hour drive away from DC, and it's an important position to engage in, because part of the reason why we started Liberty Health Share was to really protect an individual's right to choose what they want to be able to do within healthcare. Increasingly, the encroachment of government regulations and oversight in healthcare is not necessarily a safety push. I know a lot of people look at government regulations as just a way to make sure that that consumers and that other people are safe within the marketplace. But we have seen that with the recent passage of the Affordable Care Act. Well, I say recent, it's been about 7 years now. And also other regulations when it comes to healthcare, that the encroachment of healthcare has been to restrict rather than to release, to control rather than to let people decide for themselves. Mm-hmm. And so the onus on Liberty Health Share was that we wanted to have a methodology by which people could join a community to take control over their health and their health care, so that they are in the driver's seat rather than what I like to call pointy-headed bureaucrats. So, so yes, I was there down in DC dealing with a few bills, and I can probably say it has to do with the ability to utilize different resources that are available to third-party insurance folks that healthcare sharing members should be able to have as well. And also, I've been dealing a lot with states issues as well. I was in Colorado, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, California, dealing with different issues at those state houses to talk about, we have a membership here, it's growing, it's thriving, we're doing right by our members, we don't want to commit any kind of fraud or issues or anything like that, but don't impose any rules and regulations that ultimately restricts the ability of an individual to choose healthcare on their own. I know I talk about this quite often whenever I say the power to choose in your healthcare is very important, but I have heard a number of stories where the ability to be autonomous in your healthcare and make the decisions that you want to make is truly a matter of life and death.
Yes.
So this is not an issue that is small and one size fits all, everything can work if you just follow the program. This is something that needs to be in the hands of Lillian and Dr. Siegel. It needs to be in the hands of Matt. Whenever it comes to my healthcare, I should be able to choose how I guide and direct my own health.
That's very well said, because that's one of the reasons that I walked away from insurance, because and I say this with a lot of pride, Liberty Health Share is not insurance, it's assurance that you will be able to choose what you want. And when I was paying for my typical insurance, I had to go to the doctors they said I had to go to. And once I started looking at life in a more holistic approach, insurance didn't support me anymore. At the time it did. But then when I found out that Liberty Health Share supports me with my choices for holistic health, and I can go to any doctor that I want, and you're keeping our prices so affordable. It was going to be $500 to be joined to my husband's insurance, And, sometimes we get cornered so that we make the choice that's best for us. It may feel like at the time, this is the worst thing that's happened when you lose insurance, but it was the best thing that happened to me because it allowed me to step outside the box. And it was a simple interview. It was a simple interview and an event that I was attending that completely changed my life, Matt. And when I found out that you guys were cheaper by $300 cheaper for me to have my own assurance that I was going to be taken care of with $1 million, up to $1 million per incident, I thought, well, I have nothing to lose right now, so I might as well give it a try. Yeah. I hope and pray that you guys continue to fight for our rights so that we can choose what we want for our care. And so with Liberty Health Share, a single is, go ahead and talk about the programs and what it includes.
Sure. The community coming together to help support your individual decisions really is a blessing. And so along with that, the way that we do it, the prices that we have are very much on the lower end of the scale, but it does give you a lot of freedom and autonomy. So an individual joining Liberty Health Share can look to spend for our most comprehensive program about $299 per month, $399 per month for our couples, and $529 per month for a family of 3 or more. And that's whenever you go to a doctor or hospital, whenever you actually have an actual medical need. That's when we have our annual unshared amounts, the amount of money that you pay before sharing begins. It's $1,000 for an individual, $1,750 for a couple, and $2,250 for, again, that family of 3 or more.
Yeah.
This was important for us. And I have to say, this really is a part of the mission of Liberty Health Share, where we're wanting to change how we approach healthcare in total. The system, I understand, is just fundamentally broken, and it needs to change.
Yeah, and you guys are keeping my costs down. And I would never get go buy a car, randomly buy a car, just walk into the first place I go to and write a fat check to pay for that car without doing some research. And we all can identify with that moment where we want that car, that color, that, all those little bells and whistles, but we don't want to go pay twice as much at one place as opposed to paying for our budget. And so I find myself taking ownership of my life, of my health care, and choosing places that I know are more affordable for example, if I need an MRI or any testing that needs to be done. Can you explain how we can choose where we want to go because we are in control?
Well, we're all each considered individual self-pay patients, guiding and directing our own health care. We aren't insurance, so we're not spreading risk and we're not pooling funds. Frankly, the risk is all our own. I'm responsible for my health and my healthcare bills. Yet during those times that are unexpected and unaffordable, that's when the community comes in to help share in those medical expenses. So just a slight change in how you approach healthcare, being an individual self-pay patient versus an insurance person, really changes the dynamic that you have with your doctor. And again, quick story, we had a woman who was facing a heart transplant, an absolute huge invasive surgery based on a doctor's diagnosis. She gets a second opinion because she's with Liberty Health Share and can go down the street. She's not in a network. She can do that when she wants. And the other doctor said, no, you don't need a heart transplant. We have a simple, treatment for you here. And because of that, she's here today. She's happy. She's healthy. She's living a full and normal, active life. And so this is no small thing whatsoever. And we're doing all we can to ensure on Liberty Health Share's side to maintain that level of freedom and autonomy in your personal health care.
And I'm very grateful because not only is Liberty Health Share a sponsor, but I have also been a member a year or so before. I reached out to them and I said, we're so like-minded. Why don't you help me with the classroom here? And so keep in mind that this is truly affordable health care. And so it was $300 cheaper. So when I started with Liberty Health Share, it was $200 a month. And when they've had one increase, and it was for me, it was a $50 increase, and everybody else starts at, so they honor the members. You guys honored us by saying, okay, you guys have been with us. We do need to increase because costs are going up. And so the people coming in, are $299. And so that's still affordable for a single. And I am so grateful. It's you can choose your healthcare providers. I love going to my chiropractor or my acupuncturist, and I know I'm being taken care of with my friends at Liberty Health Share. And if you want to learn more about Liberty Health Share, you can go to call 855-58-LIBERTY or 855-585-4237, or you can go to whenyouneedafriend.com and check on my sponsors, as I ask every day to check my sponsors and support them the way they're supporting the classroom. That's libertyhealthshare.org. Either way, whichever way you get there, it's important that we consider, instead of saying, oh, I'm never going to look that way, you can at least consider. So thank you, Matt, for everything that you guys are doing to keeping us in choice so that we can make a choice. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Yes,
welcome.
and
Thanks
you
for having
make
me.
it.
I always love being here.
I love it when you're on.
The best day ever.
You make it the best day ever. Okay, thank you so much. That's Liberty Health Share, Matt Bellis of Liberty Health Share. That's 855-58-LIBERTY, 855-585-4237, or you can email or search for libertyhealthshare.org. Now we're going to shift gears with Dr. Marlene Siegel, DVM. But she is more than a DVM. She is a holistic advocate. She is an author, a speaker, sought after. She is taking the holistic world for humans and bringing it to life in our pets that are in so much need to return to nature. So thank you, Dr. Siegel, for being in the classroom today.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I'm so excited.
I am too. So let's talk about how you're different. What do you bring to as a veterinarian? What you bring differently to Pasco Veterinary Center?
So the difference between, I do integrated medicine, which means in an integrated world, we're doing a combination of all the Western things that we were trained, the traditional allopathic things, but we're taking and adding in the Eastern arts. And there's so much rich understanding of how health really should be. Mm-hmm. And when you can take the best of both worlds and you put them together, you have a toolkit that allows you to do virtually anything. And my quest is to never tell somebody there's nothing more I can do for them. I was told that with my own personal horse when she was injured and she had saved my daughter's life. And there was nothing I was willing to stop at to fix that horse. And that really launched me into this whole new mindset where it wasn't just this limited toolkit, which we were treating symptoms. And if I don't get anything else across to our audience, is that a symptom is simply a dash light coming on saying, warning, there is something wrong under the hood. Do not stop with just unplugging the dash light. And that's what allopathic medicine does. It has a symptom, it names it, it blames it, and then there's a pill for the ill, a diet for the disease, there's a nuke it, burn it, cut it, but you're not addressing the underlying problem. When we actually ask why, for a person, why do you have a headache? Why are you nauseous? Why are you having constipation? Instead of just taking a medication to cover it up. So with animals, we have to go a little further down that rabbit hole because they are talking to us, but not in verbal language. So we need to be able to interpret those symptoms as a clue. And then we take that clue and we follow it down the rabbit hole till we find what is the underlying cause, what is the underpinning of that problem. And then we fix it at that level. And amazingly, not surprisingly, then the problem goes away and it doesn't come back. Where in allopathic medicine, we treat the symptom, a little time goes by and it happens again. or it's a worse problem that happens. And so you're always chasing down the symptoms, but you're never making any headway to really going back to thriving. And there's a difference between surviving and thriving. So our cars have to survive. We have to put certain things into our cars to make them work.
Mm-hmm.
But when we don't add the gasoline, your car just isn't going to work. Or if you add the wrong kind of fuel, try air. I've done that before when I was younger. Don't need to do that again. It doesn't go anywhere, right? But our bodies and our pets' bodies also require fuel. And yet we can put the wrong fuel in our bodies, and our bodies are designed to survive. They're going to hang in there. They're going to adapt. They're going to try to do everything that they can do to survive, in the hopes that eventually circumstances change and you go back to thriving. So our end goal for ourselves and our pets is to thrive. We don't want to just survive in this world with aches and pains and maladies, and we want to be out there being vibrant. We want to have the best day ever. And we want to live that best day ever, every day.
That's right. That's right. And you know, and sometimes we take our pets for granted. We don't acknowledge that they are different than us. And, you know, of course, you know, you and I have talked about grounding, and you and I have talked about, you know, we're very like-minded when it comes to health and wanting to return. Like Clint Ober, the inventor of the ground therapy mats, he says, everything you want to know is in nature.
That's what I say.
And look at the forest. There's no cancer. There's no diabetes. There's no, you know, there's nothing. And you don't see, you know, I say you don't see animals with sneakers and sleeping in king size beds that are lifted off the ground. They are connected to the ground, and we are disconnecting them the way we are disconnected. So what are some of the things that we need to be mindful of, Dr. Siegel, that we're doing to our pets that could be separating them and making them more like humans with the same human diseases and the same human depression? Because I saw that they were giving antidepressants to animals now.
Yeah. So I have a 6-step system that we utilize to not only help animals be healthy and stay healthy, but they're also the principles that we follow when we're dealing with animals that have challenges. Mm-hmm. So step number 1, and this is really no surprise, is you got to stop causing the harm, right? We have to stop polluting the body. We have to stop doing the things that are causing the problem.
Stop it.
Hello. You know, and Einstein said insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Well, we live in a world where we're expecting fast, cheap, and convenient, but we're also living in a world where we're paying the price for that. So it doesn't have to mean that you have to do anything really difficult. We just have to make better discerning decisions. Mm-hmm. So the first thing we start with is food, right? For us as well, I don't think there's very many people in today's modern day that denies that processed foods is bad for you. Yeah. Okay? But most of us get that. The bad oils, the bad sugars, all that. Well, look at what we're feeding our animals. We're feeding them the worst processed foods ever. Mm-hmm. It's food-shaped objects, but it's not their species-appropriate food, right? So going back to looking at nature as the solution and the answer to everything we really need to have, if you watch Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom for our older audience and National Geographic's for our younger audience, we don't see a lion kill something in the wild, drag it to a kibble processor, or stuff it in a can with preservatives, right? They don't do that. They eat their food in the state that they killed it in. So a species-appropriate diet for a carnivore, which is our dogs and cats, and by the way, our cats are obligate carnivores. They literally have no dietary requirement for carbohydrates. So keep that in mind. They're designed to kill an animal, eat it in the state that they killed it in, and eat the organ meat, the fat, the bones, and the muscle meat. So taking that as a given, what does processed foods look like? Well, number 1, it's been heated at very high temperatures, so it's enzymatically dead. Enzymes are those proteins that help us to break our food down. Mm-hmm. When we cook food over 105 degrees, we've destroyed those enzymes. So now these animals are eating enzymatically dead food. Second issue is, in order to take that kibble or that canned food and stick it together so it has shape, they have to add carbohydrates. So all processed foods, if you did the calculations, is between 40 and 60% carbohydrates.
Wow.
But that's a lot of sugar. But
Yeah.
their species appropriate diet, meaning the animal that they were supposed to eat, that they just killed, is under 1%.
Mm-hmm.
So what do we know about sugar? It creates inflammation and it feeds cancer. So here we are feeding them an enzymatically dead food, high in sugar, like ridiculously high in sugar. And then if it's not organic, it's full of all kinds of hormones, chemicals, pesticides, genetically modified components, all of these things which are causing damage to the gut membrane, allowing leaky gut, which I'm trusting your audience knows what leaky gut is.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So now they're eating this processed foods, high in sugar. There's not enough enzymes to break the molecules down. They have leaky gut from all the inflammation, stress, EMF, etc., water pollution. And those molecules, which aren't broken down to their individual units, come into the body, are transported to the liver. Mr. Liver looks at those molecules and goes, oh my gosh, we're under attack. There's foreign invaders here.
Mm-hmm.
And Mr. Liver mounts the inflammatory response army. So now you have all these leukotrienes and cytokines and all these mediators that are going out trying to kill the invader. And back in the day, that was great because they killed the invader. The invader wasn't there anymore. The army went away. Your repair mechanism comes out, heals the gut. Everything goes back into homeostasis.
Mm-hmm.
But in today's modern age, we're continuing to feed these animals processed foods all day long. For a lot of people, they leave a bowl of food out and the animal just grazes all day long. They were not biologically designed to eat that way. So there's no fasting period. There's no getting away from any of the toxins. So it's this constant day after day, bite after bite, year after year, inflammation being triggered in the body. And that inflammation is going to go to the weakest link in the body.
Yeah.
So, or links, plural. So we see horrific ear disease, skin problems, obesity. We see GI diseases, the vomiting, the diarrhea. We see a ton of cancer. Oh my gosh, we're seeing cancer in rates right now. 1 out of 1.65 dogs. That's almost 100% of dogs getting cancer. And cats, I think, are underreported. They're told 1 out of 3. But
Yes.
I think it really is higher than that. I just don't think we're reporting it.
Well, you know, we also let our pets go into the backyard, and the backyard has pesticides on it.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's any dew or anything like that, it goes on to, it gets transferred into their skin. And then and now the whole process.
Lick their feet. Mm-hmm.
That's right. They lick their paws, whatever animal it is. And you have your own raw food that is species appropriate, which is
Yes.
your SAFE. What is your SAFE acronym?
It stands for species appropriate, fundamentally enriching.
Yes.
So again, it's about going back to the basics. We have to look at how did nature feed these animals and go back to that model. And the only reason I really went out and developed my own dog and cat food was because I couldn't find a company who would do it right. Correct. There's a few companies that are doing raw, and there are some that are doing a little better than others. But when you really get down to nutrition, it's important to understand that since the 1930s, our food supply has been nutritionally depleted. That means that the soils that our foods are grown on are missing essential nutrients. Well, if the cow or deer or whatever it is that's eating that grass and those plants are not getting those nutrients, then whoever's eating them aren't getting their nutrients. And we have an added problem because now we know that glyphosate actually inhibits the plant from being able to synthesize certain amino acids that are critical for us to be able to eat. These are the essential nutrients. An essential nutrient is a nutrient that you don't make in your body, your pet doesn't make in their body. You have to take it from an outside source. You have to eat it. So if our food is nutrient depleted, and our government's known that since the 1930s, they're telling food manufacturers, well, you have to make a complete and balanced diet, so add those nutrients in. Well, sounds great, except what they're adding in are synthetic vitamins and minerals. And then when they take the fatty acid and add that into the diet, it is now exposed to air. And as soon as you expose a fatty acid to air, it begins to turn rancid.
Oh boy.
So we're actually feeding a more toxic product thinking it's nutritionally balanced. Their bodies don't know how to take in synthetic vitamins and minerals any more than we do. and then those fatty acids are turning rancid in the food. So I was posed with this problem of how do you create a food that is going to be safe and effective? You want it to do the things it does without, I can't make the label that it's complete and balanced, because what I did is I separated my macronutrients from my micronutrients to maintain the highest quality, safety, and efficacy of each product. So my macronutrients are the meat, fat, bone, and organ meat. And we have 2 different formulas. They're both under 1% carbohydrates, but one has a little higher fat so that we can get our animals into more of a keto state for their cancers and chronic allergies and chronic diseases. And then we have a very amazing powder product, which is our vitamin, mineral, and superfoods. And that comes by itself. So you scoop out the quantity that is appropriate for the weight of your animal. It's another thing. Amazing. How do you take quantities of these micronutrients and expect to be able to balance that between a 5-pound Chihuahua and a 150-pound Great Dane? Correct. Right? It's all mixed in the diet. How do you do that? But in the way we did it, I can actually dose for that individual. And then our fatty acid is a super amazing product. It is a fish oil, been tested for mercury levels, so we know it's a very clean product. It's packaged in a organic collagen, buffalo collagen, protecting it from any oxygen. So when you take it, you can either give them the whole buffalo collagen, which I do encourage, it's great, or you can break it open, squeeze the contents onto the food, and then just chop the buffalo collagen capsule, and then they eat the whole thing.
Very, very good. We have a question, and our teachers' pets are asking some questions. But before we answer the question, I just want to say that we're listening and watching Dr. Marlene Siegel, DVM. My hat's off to veterinary clinics or veterinarians, because they don't just have to look at one species, they're looking at multiple species. And so my hat's off to you. I always think of Kramer from Frasier, not Frasier, Seinfeld. He would rather, Kramer would rather go to a veterinarian than a regular doctor. And by the end of the show, he was chasing after cars because he was being treated by a vet. But we're talking to Dr. Marlene Siegel. She is the owner and founder of Pasco Veterinary Medical Center, and you can find her at Lutz, Florida. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that. But I just want you to understand that this information, we don't hear any of this information in the news. No. So I want to encourage you to go to whenyouneedafriend.com. Please become a subscriber. When you subscribe, you'll get the contacts, all the information of who's going to be the teacher in the classroom. And these sponsors there are sponsors that have taken over and said, let us help you, and we need more. We need more sponsors to be a part of the classroom to help spread this information of empowerment and freedom. And so when you are at whenyouneedafriend.com, make sure that you also connect through us through Facebook and YouTube, like and subscribe, also Instagram, so that we can communicate. We do the class live on Facebook at Lillian's radio show. But the way you find out is if you subscribe to the channel, you'll get all the information. So while you're there, make sure you click onto my sponsors page or button, and you look at Liberty Health Share, who is just on libertyhealthshare.org. There's also Keep Me Safe Organics Worldwide, which is, and Dr. Siegel has met Kelly and Rebecca of Keep Me Safe Organics, from head to toe, non-toxic, non-synthetic beauty products. And remember, when you are on in the website, you can also get % off. There's gifts and all that, which are little perks for being a part of the classroom. We have First Alternative Care, Dr. Stephen Grable, who is holistic. He was also at the ACIM conference. Dr. Stephen Grable is holistic, integrative, functional MD. So his clinic is called Complementary Care Center, and that's in Jacksonville, Florida. The pharmacy, who also makes medications topical medications for pets. So he is he not only treats people, but our fur-legged friends as well. Live Longer Medical, that's in India Atlantic, turning our inside as beautiful as our outside. And of course, ground therapy. I want to encourage all of you to go to the ground therapy button and start grounding, which is the important aspect that animals do all the time when they're connected to the earth. They don't wear sneakers, so please don't put sneakers on your dogs or your cats. And of course, sponsor them or support them the way that they're supporting the classroom. And finally, you can become an enrolled student. And what an enrolled student does is they help out, whether it's talent, time, or treasure. We could use any help that you have. So please contact us in any way. If you want to become an enrolled student, there's a little button that gives you little options as well. So going back to the classroom today, we have Dr. Marlene Siegel, DVM. She is the owner and founder of Pasco Veterinary Medical Center. What I love about it is that not only are the pets that are going there exposing themselves to a functional, more holistic, integrative approach to health, but the people who are bringing the pets also have the opportunity to try all the different modalities that she's using on the pets, which I think is brilliant, Dr. Siegel. And you could also call Pasco Veterinary Medical Center at 813-973-2929, and the website is pascovet.com. There's also another one that's called holistichealingvet.com, and I wasn't sure which one was which, but I want to thank you, Dr. Siegel, for coming on. I know you're a really busy individual. You have so many spoons in the pots that you have brewing. So we just finished talking about nutrition. There's a question from Kay, and Kay says, what exactly is clean eating or clean eating and clean food? And so you, I think, explained that. Maybe the question came after your explanation. Is there anything you want to add to clean eating and clean food when it comes to, we know about ourselves, but for our pets?
Well, simply you want to look for a species appropriate raw food that does not have any added chemicals, hormones, pesticides, no synthetic vitamins, minerals, or fatty acids. So you're just looking for something that really is healthy, and there's not much out there. If I could, the holistichealingvet.com is a free ebook that has the 6 steps to holistic healing
that we're talking about.
Anybody, so if you want to download that guideline, that would be awesome. And of course, it starts with number 1, stop polluting the body, food, water, environment, EMF, all of that matters. Number 2, it talks about supplying all the essential nutrients that the body needs. Number 3 is heal the gut. Number 4 is detoxification. Number 5 is restore and repair mitochondrial activity. The mitochondria are what make the energy for our bodies. So it's really important, because without the energy, you're not going anywhere. And then number 6 is I do emotional release work on these animals to release the emotions attached to the dis-ease that they're experiencing. So that's the 6-step process.
Very good, very good. And I do want to continue diving a little bit more into that and some of the things we can do to protect our pets. So Leslie has a question for you, Dr. Siegel. She said she just tuned in. She said she just made a golden paste for her golden doodle, all organic. She said, my concern is, let me see. My concern is the coconut oil. Any thoughts?
Oh, coconut oil is fine. Make sure it's organic. So no problem with coconut oil. But that brings up a wonderful point, is that with all this information that we're receiving, we hear about turmeric, and we hear about all black seed oil, and we have all these wonderful anti-cancer, anti-inflammatory ideas, products, and services that are out there. But we're really missing that elephant in the room, which is, what are we doing that's causing the problem? You're still chasing the symptom. And so we can have holistic people that are still chasing symptoms, only they've replaced the pill with an herb or an oil.
Correct.
But you're not fixing the problem.
Correct.
So we have people coming all the time, and they're spending a ton of money. They have supplements that cover the exam table, but they're still feeding processed foods. They're still feeding tap water, which has 65,000 toxins in tap water. They're still doing unstructured water. So they're not really putting it all together. We have to start building our foundation from the bottom up, not from the top down, which means number one, go through every one of those steps of what we're doing that's causing the problem. What are you feeding? What kind of water are you using? What are you doing inside your home? Are you using toxins and chemicals to clean? Are you using volatile organic compounds? Do you have mold in your house? Do you have a lot of EMF in your house? You know, those are really important because those are what are contributing to the inflammation. So you got to clean that up. There is no shortcut. You've got to fix that. And then you go in and start with the essential nutrients.
And the body heals itself.
Superfoods.
The body heals itself. It
does. It does.
And so her follow-up comment is from Leslie. It says, raw food diets are so expensive. Are they? Tell us a little bit more about that. Okay.
You know what a belief system is? It's a thought you keep repeating, right? So we have been conditioned to think that healthy food, natural food is more expensive. And when you add the few dollar differences, but you calculate in the price that you pay for the processed foods. So the medical bills, the time from work, taking your animal to the vet, the heartache that you have. Lillian, these animals are living 7 years less than what they did 20 years ago.
I know.
Right? So it's breaking our hearts. We're agonizing it. People come into my office for cancer therapies, and they can spend anywhere from $2,000 to $30,000. That's a lot of food that you could use as prevention. Yeah. So it's really this difference in mindset. Now, I eat 100% organic. If I go to a restaurant, I am the PIA that makes the chef come out. I do. And they have to
I was with you. We ate together, remember?
We did that. What is the oil that you're using?
That's right.
Do you have GMOs in your food? And I won't eat that. And so when I go to a hotel, we just came from a trade show. They made me a special meal. There was no canola, no soy, no vegetable oil. We had the top worst non-organic foods. They didn't put it on my plate. And now not everything was organic there, but they really went out of their way to accommodate. So we as a society have to start drawing the line in the sand. We have to start demanding with our dollars what it is that we are going to accept. And when more people quit buying the toxic stuff, it won't be made, and there's going to be less competition because more people are going to want to be making the things that we are choosing to buy. Yeah. So really, it's our dollars and our life choices that are creating the demands. So we just need to band together. I hope some community does this for me one day, but the whole community as a group, they publicly announce that they're not going to go to a restaurant that doesn't offer at least 2 organic options, a vegetarian and a meat dish. It's not a lot. It's not that expensive. But when we start demanding that and you don't go to that restaurant, can you imagine a whole community that doesn't go to Starbucks, doesn't go to, because, oh man, their coffees are so toxic. You got to ask them to read the box that their almond milk comes in. It's chemicals. It's not even almond milk. It's chemicals. So anyhow, we have to start being more discerning. We have to start taking control, take our health back, which means you have to ask what people are feeding you. And we have to ask what we're feeding our animals and then make that decision to do the healthy option. And when more people do that, we will have more companies coming out.
Amen, sister.
Pedigree? No,
I'm voting for you. I'm voting for you. So let's talk about your raw food. Can somebody contact you and order raw food?
They can order online. Absolutely. Ship right to your door.
So they can go to pascovet.com.
No, the website for the food is EVOLOVERAW.com.
Oh, okay.
And EVOLOVE is love spelled forwards and backwards.
I know.
Has sacred geometry in there too for you sacred geometry buffs. So it's love forwards and backwards, EVOLOVERAW.com. And there you can learn about raw foods. You can order your foods. You can ask me questions, and all the supplements that I recommend are there as well. So we have the vitamins, minerals, and fatty acids, and we have a product called Ion Gut Health, which is designed to help repair the leaky gut. And then the only last thing that you really need to add besides the macronutrient component, your vitamins, minerals, and superfoods, your fatty acids, the ion health to repair the gut damage, is a probiotic. And I do not recommend doing store-bought probiotics, no powders and liquids and stuff like that. We need fermented foods. When an animal killed another animal and ate it in the wild, they would chew through the intestinal tract. As they were disemboweling that animal, they would bite through that intestinal tract and pull it out. And that's where they got the fermented foods, all that rich pre and probiotics that were in the intestinal tract of the animal that they were eating. Most animals today in our modern society have been on antibiotics at least one time, and they've been on other drugs that are gut destroying. Glyphosate's raining on our heads, okay?
Yeah,
It's in our rainwater, it's in our air, it's on groundwater. We're not going to get away from it 100%. So it's important to take a product like the Ion Gut Health, and they make a human version of that as well, and be able to at least repair that gut lining and keep up with the damage, and then do as much as you can to not further perpetuate that damage.
Okay, so let's say, for example, my friend, I have a beautiful friend, her name is Kim Kirshner, and she is everything but a doctor. I mean, she's got so many certifications. She follows a vegan diet and lifestyle. She teaches others how to do it as well.
For herself. For herself.
For herself, and no, she also is a coach. She's a health coach as well. She makes her dog food, and she primarily does a vegan vegetables for her animals. I don't know if that's good or bad or indifferent, but I know that everything I'm sure she gives them some animal products as well. I don't know. I can't, but she makes her own. Is there anything that we can do to, let's say we don't want to purchase or go through the trouble of that? Can we make our own food for our dogs that don't consist of rice and beans and fried chicken?
Yeah, but it needs to be balanced.
Yeah.
So we actually offer that as a service. If we have somebody who says, I just want to make our own food, it is going to cost you more if you do it right. I promise you, because we've had so many people actually do the test, and they do pay more. And then you have to calculate your time and storage space because you have to freeze it afterwards, yada, yada. So, but we do offer that. So people can call and we can find out what is their raw ingredients that they want to use based on the meat types that they want to use, the carbohydrate source that they want to use, the fiber source. And then we supplement with our vitamins, minerals, and fatty acids. And then, yes, we can help them make their own diet. But here's the problem that usually happens is you run out of a product. And now you have to make the food, and you don't have all your supplies that you need.
Open
a
can.
Down to the store and
open again.
Yeah, and then you buy something, and it happens not to be organic, or you can't find all the different things that you used to find. So you start substituting, and either you end up adulterating the diet, or you end up feeding a non-balanced diet. Mm-hmm. And a non-balanced diet can be as detrimental as a processed food diet. So we want to be careful. In the wild, an animal, a carnivore would kill something, and they intuitively would know to eat organ meat, to eat some of the bone. They ate cartilage and sinew, and they chewed on bones, and they tore through, as they went through the fur, they got fiber in their mouth. They chewed through intestines, and they got their probiotics, and they got fat. So they just were able to balance their diet. They use different meat sources, because every day you don't kill the same animal, you kill what you can catch. And so they had variety. They each animal that they ate had a little bit different microbiome in and of themselves. So there was this variety going on that they were able to supply all the nutrients that they needed. And sometimes they had to do intermittent fasting, which is another whole topic we should do a show on.
Okay.
But we have lost the ability to utilize the hormetic stressors that our bodies and our pets' bodies were really designed to thrive on. And a hormetic stressor are short bursts of intermittent stress that signal the body to respond so that it can make the adaptations and be able to thrive again. Mm-hmm. Now, one hormetic stressor is temperature, right? Is cold. We don't get exposed to cold like we used to in the caveman days when you didn't have a thermostat in your house and you set it between 68 and 78 degrees. The second one is movement. We don't move like our ancestors did. When a dog or cat wanted to eat, they didn't walk over to a bowl and stick their face in it. They had to catch it. That's called high intensity exercise in short bursts. And if you missed, you have to go do it again. Or if you were fighting, or if you were running away from something, right? They have to survive. So they had a lot of natural high intensity movement, which we don't see again. That is not walking around the block, and that's not getting up and walking to the food bowl. And then the third component is the calories, right? We have a lot of empty calories, a lot of bad calories that we're eating when we're not getting those nutrient dense calories that we were designed to eat. And we weren't designed to eat all day long, and our pets weren't designed to eat all day long. They killed something for breakfast. They didn't have to expend any more energy. They digested that. And then the next time they got hungry, which is usually at dawn and dusk, now they have to go out there and hunt food again. But sometimes they didn't get food. And the body has these special mechanisms that when food isn't coming in, it starts to clean up all the dead and dying tissue that's in your body because your cells are turning over. In fact, we make 300 billion new cells a day.
Wow.
It's a lot of cells. And
We are one amazing, miraculous machine.
It's a regenerative machine, absolutely. So those cells that we're replacing have to go somewhere.
Yes.
And this process of intermittent fasting creates a condition called autophagy. And with autophagy, your body is taking all these dead and dying cells, repurposing them and getting rid of them, so that when you are eating again and you have calories, hopefully the good calories coming in, that you are able to now make healthier cells than the ones that we're replacing. That process goes on with our animals as well. So I look at the body as a machine, and there are biological pathways and processes that once we understand how the body works as a machine, we can intentionally turn on and turn off pathways to initiate healing responses and to initiate healthy responses of the immune system. So that's what I do. It's not something that's taught in schools. It's certainly not taught in medical school or veterinary school, but it's the way that we need to shift. We need to start understanding how does the body work and what can we do to support the body, because it's the body's innate intelligence that does the actual healing, not anything we do. That's why when people are looking for the curcumin and they're looking for the CBD and they're looking for all these answers outside of themselves, it doesn't work because all you're doing is treating symptoms.
And we're replacing the pill with an herb or a vitamin.
Essential oil,
or
homeopathic.
Yes.
Absolutely.
We've got to, I like your first step system, your first part of the system, which is stop. There's a Bob Newhart video, a skit that he did in the Bob Newhart show. And this woman comes in, he's a psychiatrist, and the woman goes in and she's saying, I'm depressed. And he was like, I can cure you in less than 5 minutes. And so the woman's giving him all the, she's afraid. Well, what are you afraid of? I'm afraid I'm going to be buried live in a coffin. Has that ever happened? No. And then, and so she kept going on with all her fears. And then he says, okay, you ready for your diagnosis? And she goes, yes. And he goes, stop it. just stop it.
Yeah.
And it was really funny. Just stop it. And that we just have got to stop the madness, because we are doing it not only to ourselves, but now it's impacting the world. It's impacting our pets, and it's impacting our families. And we've just got to stop being so disposable.
Absolutely. Well, there's two things I want to get to before we end today.
Yes.
One is going to be talking about detoxification as my step number 4, and I want to just hit some points on that. But the other one, speaking to that whole fear thing, is that fear stands for future events appearing real. And there's only 2 emotions that drive our behavior. One is fear, which is very contracting and limiting and certainly doesn't feel good, and it doesn't help us to become the best version of us. And the other is love. And I have an acronym for love, which is letting out voluminous amounts of energy. And that's what we are. We're energy beings in an energy universe. So when we choose to experience the world from the love side and have love energy, whatever you want to define it as, then your whole entire perception of your life changes from one of contractedness to one of expansion and possibilities and solutions. that's the life and the world that I come from, which is probably why I have these 900 different businesses that I have going on.
I know,
Now,
that's the
brings me to the next one, or all the drums, is detoxification centers. So step number 4 in our healing process is detoxifying all 6 organs of elimination. We have the kidney, the colon, the lungs, the lymphatics, the skin, and the, what did I miss? Kidney, colon, lungs, liver, skin, and lymphatics.
Kidneys.
Okay, those are your 6 organs of elimination. And our animals have them as well. Needless to say that in a toxic world where we are overwhelming the body, our organs of elimination cannot keep up. So in our office, we have the ability to detoxify all 6 organs of elimination. And that is a foundational component in our healing and prevention program. But I found when I'm doing consultations for people all around the world that they don't have access to the detoxification systems. So I am getting ready to open 2 corporate offices that are going to be just detox centers. So please keep in contact with me. I'll let you know where the first couple are going to be, and then we're going to franchise them out. Yes. So if there are any pet lovers out there, veterinarians, people who have health spas, boarding kennels, pet stores, or you just love animals and you just want to do good in the world, these detox centers are going to be places where the pet owner can go with their pets, do not need a prescription, do not need a thing from your veterinarian that says you're allowed to go there, and you can take your health back, you can be in control, and learn how to detoxify your pets' bodies. At the same time, you get to do it for you too.
I love it. I love the idea, which is what your concept is at Pasco Veterinary Medical Center, that you are integrating so that we can see we and our pets, we both need all the same things, which is to return back to nature. And Dr. Siegel, I'm so grateful for you. We're going to be closing the podcast in a little bit. For all of you who are listening on the podcast, you can always join us on Facebook Live at Lillian's radio show. You can watch the video on YouTube as well. So I'm just very, very grateful to you because you're bringing a new awareness. We lost our Max probably 5 years before we had to. And now that I've learned about holistic health, I know it's the pesticides that, even though we would always religiously wait 4 hours before he could go out there, we wanted to make sure he didn't get bitten by a tick. We wanted to make sure that he was taken safe. But I really believe that that wasn't gone. And he was this tiny little, cutie pie. And I believe that that ended his life sooner than it had to be. And of course, the food. So we're going to continue our conversation because we do have like a little teacher's pet little conference after the show, after the class. So if anybody has any questions, we can stay after the class. Thank you, Dr. Siegel. Again, Pasco Veterinary Medical Center. You can go to pascovet.com. And always remember that we'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott and Dr. Marlene Siegel wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day
ever.
Good job. That's the best ever.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lillian McDermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps to improve your life.
Okay, thank you so much for staying tuned and staying on for the little chat section after the class. Leslie, you are on fire, girl. You are learning. So I don't know if you know Dr. Siegel or if this is new information for you, but I'm just so glad that you are being curious and asking questions. So I'll get to your questions in a little bit. If by chance you've asked a question and I have not asked it yet, and it's been like maybe you asked it at the beginning, something's happening on Facebook where I don't get all the questions. So you can text me your questions at 407-373-5959. That's 407-373-5959. That's my text my text for my phone, and you can ask the question if I haven't addressed it at this point. And of course we've got 2 questions from Leslie. They're right there. Now, one of the things, Dr. Siegel, that that we are needing to become aware of is as we've domesticated our pets and we've brought them into our world, that our pets are very empathic and they do pick up our energy. You talk about EMFs, you talk about, you know, the poison, the toxins and all of that are in the environment, but we ourselves can be pretty toxic to our pets. Can you share a little bit about the emotional component of how people who are depressed or constantly thinking negative thoughts, how that affects our pets?
So there's a principle called entrainment, and you know, I've got a little set of the 5 balls that hang down, and you bong one ball into the other, and they're all kind of chaotic for a couple of seconds, and then all of a sudden their energies are all together. And I use that to demonstrate this principle of entrainment, which means that when one individual is with other individuals, you start to share that energy. And we experience that when we go to a really good motivational speaker or a great sermon at church or whatever.
Or listen to or watch the Lillian
the
McDermott
Lillian
radio
McDermott
show classroom.
Yes,
Hello.
absolutely. So you entrain to those energies and you get motivated and you feel like you're empowered. But we also know the energy vampires in our lives, and those are the people that when you're around them for a little while, you feel like you have to go home and take a nap because they suck you dry. Well, I don't say this kiddingly. I really do believe that our pets are fur angels, and they come to help support us in this very heavy, dense 5th dimension. So who comes over to you when you're sad or upset or frustrated or just feeling so depressed, and they lay next to you, they rub up next to you, they lick you, right? It's our pets. And what do? We put our hand out, we start touching them, and we feel better, right? So they're entraining to our energy. They're helping to say, let me take some of that load off of you. So I think that's one aspect. The second thing that they do is they help to reflect or mirror, or they help to deliver, for those who can interpret the experience, information that is really vital for us to be able to shed some of the stuff that just isn't serving us anymore. So I look at contrast as a good thing. I look at it as the ability to see what it is that you need to shift, right? If you have your computer and it's really, really full and you have to delete some files, you can't stand across the room and go delete, right? You have to open the computer, you have to pull up the file, you have to determine if you need to keep it or not, and then you hit the delete button. And Lillian, what does your computer ask you when you hit the delete button the first time?
Are you sure you want to delete?
Absolutely. No one misses that, right?
Yeah.
So you have to confirm that you want to delete that. And I think that's what contrast is for us. And that comes in as emotions. So I help people to see the patterns of emotion, because it's never, oh, this is the first time I'm experiencing this emotion.
Yeah.
This is a pattern that they've had over and over and over and over again. And the pets help us to help the owner come to that moment in their life when they can literally say, do I need to keep that emotion? You got to identify it. Do I need to keep it or do I not? And then there are techniques that help people to shift that. I can clear the emotion on the pet super easy. It's almost like I'm taking the Pony Express, I'm delivering the mail.
What do you do? Shake them up?
No. It's a little more complicated than that.
What do you do?
It's super easy, but it's complicated in the sense that it's hard to explain.
Okay.
So I clear the pet, and then 99% of the time the owners want to be cleared as well. So we clear the owner and we just get that garbage. And it just brings me back to something that I really want to bring home, is that everything that we're doing, from cleaning up the toxins in our world to cleaning up our emotions, because when we have an emotion, we create neurochemicals. Everything is a signal. We use all of this communication to signal our DNA, the mitochondria, the microbiome. We're telling these systems what's going on in the outside world through what we're seeing, hearing, tasting, interpreting, smelling. And so we're literally giving them the communication like a lunar module. We're reporting back, good, safe, not safe, whatever. And so as we're making that communication, we're entraining that to all around us, our pets, our friends, our family, our Facebook family, whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
So as you are emitting this energy of the emotions that you're having, you are literally getting people to entrain to you,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's more than just our little world. It's more than our little body and our little dogs and cats. We're really talking about the entire microbiome and health of the planet. So when we make better decisions, when we live healthier, happier lives, when we have an abundant mindset and we live in gratitude and love, which are the high vibrating emotions, and we can take those low vibrating emotions of shame, anger, guilt, fear, and we can transmute them into something more empowering through shows like yourself, then we are literally transforming the energy of the planet.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what the whole game of this planet is. You know, I think it's a hologram. And I think it's how we play the hologram, because no one's leaving the hologram alive. You know, we all have an exit strategy. What are we doing to play the game well? And so that's what I try to help people do. And it's the love for the pets, because we don't just have pets anymore. We have soul pets.
Mm-hmm.
The people who come through my door, they come in with their soul pet. That animal is way more important than that dog that lived outside. So yeah, it's totally different than 20 years ago. And
Yeah.
I've been practicing almost 40 years.
Wow.
And it's a totally different practice.
You started when you were 2.
Yes, do the math.
Let's do the math.
Absolutely.
Okay. So it's you are speaking the language of the classroom. You're speaking the language of love. And I know, and I remember going to EVOLOVE Event Center and wondering, I'm like, I knew there was something about the name that I needed to ask about. And love forward and backwards. If you look at it, if you turn it around, it's all about love. And, you know, there's so much fear in the world, and nothing good comes from fear. I mean, there's healthy fear, which is our intuition kicking in, saying, do not go into that dark alley. You know, that fear is a healthy intuitive fear, but we're trained to ignore our intuition.
Yeah.
And so that right there, if we just focus on love, then whenever we have these intuitive moments, it's not going to be based out of the fear that's paralyzing. It's going to be an empowering, like, I've got to shift and turn the boat, because we're going to crash into what do you call that?
A rock.
Yeah, the rock, but it's the Titanic was like, okay, I'll remember the name of it, but
the iceberg.
Iceberg. See, I don't even eat the lettuce. That's why it's not even in my vocabulary. Okay, so one of the Leslie asked the question about her raw food animals. So she has a 70-pound dog. How much food to give? Like, what is a good calculation to know how much food you're giving your pet?
I can speak to my diet because we have those calculations. I can't speak to other formulations.
Okay.
But we base it on body weight initially. So if the animal is overweight, you want to feed to a lower body weight. So if we have a 70-pound dog that is 15 pounds overweight, I'm going to feed to 5 pounds or 10 pounds less. And our benchmark is 1 ounce per 5 pounds of body weight. Now, we have an exact calculation that we can do if we want to get more, accurate than that. But that's a good way to begin. If your animal's underweight, you're going to feed a little bit more. If they're overweight, you're going to feed a little bit less. But you start with about 1 ounce per 5 pounds of body weight. If they're eating processed foods, you want to make that transition slowly. So I talk about going somewhere between 20 and 25% new food and mix that in for a few days to their old food. And then you go somewhere between 40 and 50%, and then you go 75% new food, and then you start to just wean off the old food. You will also find that they actually eat a lot less than when they're eating processed foods, because you think your processed food's cheaper. You're paying for sugar, and you're paying for a lot of garbage, waste material, and fiber that the animal doesn't need. So you're really wasting a good chunk of what you're feeding, and you're causing health challenges out the wazoo. So are you really saving anything? You know, I know when I switched our entire family to organic and healthy products, and I went from skincare all the way through what we ate, everything that touched our skin, from laundry soap, body care products, cleaning the house, everything. And I found our grocery bill went down by over $500 because we weren't buying the chips, we weren't buying sodas, we weren't buying crap food. So really, when you look at it and you eat nutrient dense food, you eat so little that it's not a big deal. And the same thing happens with our animals. People look at the amount of food that they put down, and the dogs scarf it in less than 30 seconds. And they go, oh my God, I think he's still hungry. Well, no, in the wild, they would have scarfed everything that they could, because you have to stuff yourself in the wild because you don't know when the next meal is going to happen. But in captivity, you get fed every 12 hours, right? Yeah. So you don't have to feed to be stuffed. You have to feed to the metabolic needs. And that's where the 1 ounce per 5 pounds of body weight gives you a starting point. And then you adjust based on how much activity. If you have a couch potato dog or a cat that's not getting much exercise, well, they don't need to eat as much. So you can feed a little bit less, but you watch what their body weight looks like. What I do tell you is for most people, they're going to look at their animal, they're going to go, they're so skinny, because they're used to seeing these obese animals, right? They're not even fluffy anymore. They're just fat.
You know, there is no obesity in the wild.
No. We forgot what healthy looks like, even for people. So it's real important that we go back to thinking about how nature does it. Mm-hmm. And nature doesn't overfeed. Nature allows you to have that intermittent fasting that we talked about earlier. Nature designed some high intensity exercise, which is feasible. We can do that. We just have to do it intentionally. We have to do it for ourselves as well.
Very good. So we have a comment from Victoria. She says that you do not look even 40. So there you go. Don't you love?
Thank you.
Don't you love the teacher's pets?
I am in my mid-60s, and I have had no facial work, no injections, no Botox, nothing.
Good for you. Good for you. And so that's what we need to celebrate. We need to celebrate that even if you're not where you want to be, celebrate the fact that you know better now, and that you can choose it for yourself.
Yes.
You can choose it. And when you choose it for yourself, it will create a ripple effect that will go beyond you. Now, I know that in my lifetime, you know, and the choices that I've made, the changes that I have made in my life have come with some resistance to the people around me. And I got to continue being that ripple. I got to continue being true to myself, whether they join me or not. And so that is the dilemma as a certified life coach, when people come to me and they say, well, I'm afraid of making this change. Again, fear. I'm afraid of making this change because my husband's not going to like it, or my wife's not going to like it, or my children aren't going to like it.
Or they're not going to support you.
Or they're not going to support you, and they're going to criticize. And so that, to me, you're going to have to decide what you believe, what kind of stand you want to make. Because if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And that is something that we could take a stand for something that is an illusion, or we can take a stand for something that we truly know is going to benefit us. And I truly believe in what you're saying, that when I am eating totally clean, no processed foods whatsoever, a whole food, plant-based lifestyle, I feel so much better than when I go out and I indulge. And even when I indulge, I don't indulge like other people indulge, because I have food allergies, and my body immediately says, no, not going to go there. But to me, eating out, Dr. Siegel, you were making a comment earlier. You talked about how when, you know, and I've been to a restaurant with you, and trust me when I say this, and I say it with kindness in my heart, I want to continue going to a restaurant with you all the time, because I am not as specific as you are. Because everybody makes fun of me, and I'm just asking for dairy and wheat and peas, but you're asking for canola oil. And I remember our server came to you, and he made a completely different meal for me, even as he did for you, because you care, and you care so much. You care about how you feel, that you don't care about what people think about your asking for what you need.
Let me tell you a cute story. I get the honor of speaking at a lot of conferences, and I am honored to speak at a lot of the human conferences. So last year I was at the ISLA conference. It's a laser conference, and they were at a hotel in San Diego, and they said the food was going to be organic. It was not. And so I literally went to the store. I bought my ghee, I bought my coconut oil. I talked to the chef, and he made me a separate meal from everybody else every day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. This year at the ISLA conference, my dear bestie was in charge of running it. And I said to her, I've been at this resort. It was Rancho Bernardo Inn. I'm going to support them. And I said, if you tell the chefs what your menu needs to look like, they will go ahead and make that. Now, keep in mind.
No, what she needs to say is that Dr. Marlene Siegel is coming. And she's got her eyes on you.
The chef knew my name from last year, right? Seriously, they knew me when I checked in. And so here we are at a conference where we're dealing with doctors who are treating humans for cancer. Big deal, right? And you're feeding them cancer food? Like, yes. I didn't get that. So this year when I went, the entire menu, they said to me, you don't have to even talk to the chef. Everything was made with olive oil, coconut oil, all healthy oils. It was all organic. They had it labeled on each plate, you know, as you went through, everything was labeled that it was organic, gluten-free. If they had dairy, it wasn't much. And the chef actually went out of his way to make this, it was a lasagna with eggplant, and he used cashews to make the cheese. So it was completely dairy-free, gluten-free, all organic, and all with healthy oils. And they fed the entire organization. There was probably 150 people. The entire place ate that way.
But so, you see, if you would have been,
how cool was that?
If you would have, extremely cool. You see, if you would have been afraid to hurt people's feelings or to come across like a bitch or whatever, you know, then that would have never happened.
Yeah.
You stated what you needed. And I think that as women, we have to be loving when we do it. Of course, we want to be educational when we do it. And so our delivery plays a key role in how it's received. And so I want to encourage all of you to speak up for yourself, because that's how thyroid conditions, which I have one, you know, that started many, many years ago before I started learning how to have my voice and say, it's none of my business what you think of me. Although as empathic people, we get wounded when people don't like us, but why wouldn't they like us, right? So,
you still have to come from integrity,
but you do,
right? The message may not be ready to be received by everybody at that time, but you have to do it. Can I share one? This is real important to me. I just want to share, because what I find that most people fail in is the ability to implement. You know, we go to conferences and we spend 2 and 3 days hearing tons and tons of fantastic information, or we do a conference like we just did with Lillian's show, and you hear a lot of great information, and then you go, oh my gosh, there's so much I'm doing wrong. Where do I start? And so you don't start anywhere, or it becomes too hard or too frustrating or too scary or whatever the excuse is. So I have a system I like to share with people that allows them to move at the pace that they feel comfortable. Here you go. You take a piece of paper, you fold it in half. Column A is on your left, column B is titled on your right. Column A is, you're going to list all the things that you should be doing. Don't filter it. All the things that you should be doing, but you're not doing them yet. You should be drinking out of glass, or you should be eating organic, or you should be having healthy oils, whatever that looks like. Column B are all the things that you should not be doing, and you still are, okay? And so you make your list by listening to conferences, by going on webinars, by reading, wherever you get your information. And you just make your list as robust as you can. And then you go back and you pick one thing from column A that you should be doing and you aren't doing it yet, and do it. No ifs, ands, or buts. You just do it, and you do it till it's who you are. Right? I don't think twice about going into a restaurant anymore, because it's who I am. I'm going to ask what they're cooking their food in. So that's number one.
You were a great teacher, by the way, that day for me.
B is pick one thing that you shouldn't be doing, but you still are, and stop it.
Stop it.
Stop it. You know, be done with
Bob
it.
Newhart, stop it.
Stop it. That's it. And then you do that for a week to 3 weeks, depending on how committed you are. And then it becomes who you are. And then you go back and you pick something else. Mm-hmm. If you're a little bit more of a go-getter, pick 2 things or 3 things on the list, but make it to where you're going to be successful. That's the whole point, is that you have to make those changes. And it is amazing how quickly your health will turn around.
And do it while
so
you're
that's what I want to leave everybody with, is that you've got to take this information and use it. It doesn't do any good if it sits there as a book on your table, or if it sits there as a thought in your brain. It has to be something that you do. You have to literally make it part of your life and commit to it. So you fall off the wagon and make a mistake once in a while. It's okay, right?
Go back on it.
If somebody shows me a piece of tiramisu, I'm going to eat that piece of tiramisu. I will go back and take charcoal and detox, and I'll go sit in my infrared sauna, but I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to bless it, and I'm going to really be grateful because I love tiramisu. There you go.
Duly noted.
So it's not about being militant and not living your life. It's about coming from joy and gratitude and happiness and embracing everything, even the things you can't control. Give it some love.
Yeah. You know, well said, well said. There's so many things I want to, just add to what you're saying, because, many of us, I remember being invited to go hiking in the mountains. I've never had gone hiking. I see the mountains. My idea of roughing it was like Holiday Inn. And so so I said yes, because I say yes. When we say yes and we really mean yes, it's amazing the things that will be brought to us.
Yeah.
And so I said yes to hiking, and we were going to go to Lost. It was a mountain that would go away. So you had to plan it right. Well, it turned out that the floods in California, the rain in California, we couldn't do it. So we went on this other hike. But before I was there, and after I said yes, I didn't go on top of the mountain. That was not my first step. My first step was to research the boots I was going to wear, which shoes I was going to use. And then the next step was taking those shoes after I bought them with some really good socks and start walking with those shoes on the treadmill. And then I put the incline of so those are some of the things that I had to go through. So when I was physically there in California and going to do the actual hike, it was just about taking one step and then taking the next step and then making the next step. And then when I was halfway there, I looked back and I went, wow, look how far I've come. Yeah. So if we stop overwhelming ourselves with this to-do list that we have, then perhaps maybe we can start making the commitment and making that plan, writing it out. Just saying, this is my goal. What are 3 steps I'm going to take today to get closer to achieving that goal? And I think that if we all give ourselves a break, that we will be able to do great things, because we are all capable. We are all enough. We are all born with this intuition that we can reignite. And then once we start doing that, life changes, doesn't it, Dr. Siegel?
Amazing.
It does change.
I look back at my life just even 20 years ago, and it's not even the same life. And I live in such joy. And so whoever said, thank you for saying I look younger, it's not anything other than the joy coming out of my heart. It really does make you change. And I live that.
Yes. And the eyes of the person who is seeing. Because if you see only negative and criticism and all of that, that's what you'll see. If you're looking for what's the fault, what can I get so that I don't have to listen to this individual, what you see in others is who you are. So I will say to Victoria that she herself is seeing herself as a, you know, a younger person because she sees it in you. And,
joy
you know,
and
and
beauty,
so,
yeah.
you know, when people talk to me about others, I'm hearing who you are.
Yeah.
And so that is so important. And I tell you, Dr. Marlene Siegel, again, Pasco Veterinary Medical Center, because, you know, people will watch this from, you know, it'll, once it's out on the internet, hey, I can't do anything about it. But she's at 4575 Pet Lane, Lutz, and that's Lutz, which I call Lutz, and I was corrected by everybody who lived in Lutz, because Lutz sounds so much better than Lutz. Lutz, Florida, 33559. And then, of course, you can get a hold of Dr. Siegel by calling her at 813-973-2929. Give her some love. Thank her for coming and sharing this information. You can go to Pasco Vet. That's P as in Paul, A as in Apple, S as in Sam, C as in Charlie, O as in Orange, vet.com. So there's so many different ways that we can make that choice today to either do one thing or eliminate one thing in our life, but just do it. Whatever it is, just start taking that one step. And while you're doing that, you will impact the world, including our precious, precious little angels on this earth, which I believe that if you believe in reincarnation, that before you go to heaven, like if you've come back 100,000 times, before you actually go to heaven, you come back as a dog. Because dogs are truly unconditional beings. They really are. I've never experienced the love and
unconditional love.
Unconditional love. Yes, I have in humans, but sometimes there's a little condition to the love.
Yeah, no, animals are the only ones that really do have unconditional love, and they model that. We just need to follow along. Can we talk about the upcoming Girls' Night Out?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, we want to add that to the list. So anybody who's within a driving radius to our EVOLOVE Event Center, because Lillian, you're going to be a vendor there, aren't you?
I'm not only going to be a vendor there, I am going to dance with you guys. So I don't know if I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to take Robert so Robert can man the booth and I'll be doing the dancing. Because God made me a dancer.
Oh, well, so we have Sean Green, who is the world's leading hip hop expert. He has trained the best of the best. If you watch the Super Bowl, his dancers were on stage, and he is going to honor us. He's a personal friend, and he said, let's do Girls' Night Out. So it's a night for women from ages 8 to 88 to come and express themselves. He's going to tone it down for us newbies so that we can do the dance moves. And then we're going to have open dancing afterwards, all organic foods to snack on. It's being sponsored by the Holistic Chamber of Commerce Lutz chapter, which is owned by my daughter. How cool is that? And so we're putting it on, I think, Lillian, do you have the date in front of you?
I think it's April 4th.
I think it's April 4th, yes. And so we are just going to have a blast. We're looking for about 100 women. We're going to have a really fun time dancing. And then there's vendors that are going to be there that are all about pampering us. So from Kelly coming and doing all the organic makeup, Lillian's going to have grounding mats there.
And possibly, I'm going to see if I can figure out how I can do a cone over people's heads so they can do the brain tap.
Yeah, because it's going to be kind of noisy, but we're going to have vendors. We met a lady last night at our chamber meeting, the Holistic Chamber of Commerce, that makes jewelry with the gemstones, but she teaches the people to make their own. So you literally will get to pick the gemstones that you want based on the characteristics of those gemstones for you, and you will go home with your own bracelet or necklace. And I could just go on and on. We have.
And how much is it to go? What is the cost?
It's $25 for attendees, and that covers your dance lesson, your food, and then whatever you want to experience with the vendors. You would be one-on-one with the vendors.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great price. Well, I'm looking forward to being a part of it and of course growing together with you, because we are going to do some great things. We're bringing ground therapy to the Pasco Veterinary Center. Medical Center. And so that way, you know, because some dogs do live on the top floor. Some dogs don't live on the ground, and it's hard for these dogs to be out in nature. So why not sit in
I actually bought 2 grounding mats. One stays on my bed. The other one travels with me, just for convenience. So everywhere I've been traveling, I plug it in, I lay on my grounding mat, and I feel amazing.
Oh, and by the way, now that you mentioned the grounding mat, if you go to whenyouneedafriend.com and you go to my shop now or shopping bag, if you click on my ground therapy earthing, they have 2-for-1 throws. So the throws, I don't know if you got one. I can't remember.
I didn't get one. I might have to go do that.
2-for-1 throws. They also have 40% off the double mats or the large mats, which is for queen and full-size mattresses. And then they also have 25% off. And these are for my followers. So if you go to whenyouneedafriend.com, click on the little shop bag, just scroll down until you see the shop bag, and then click on the ground therapy, and there you can buy. I mean, those prices are incredible. And
phenomenal.
Clint Ober is doing that for the classroom. So go out there, click on there, purchase whatever. But 2-for-1 throws, those I sleep with. I'm like Linus with my throw. I don't go anywhere without my throw, and everything is grounded from the earth. So that, and then what grounding does, for those of you who are questioning, not only does it protect you from the EMFs, but it removes inflammation, because the earth is the natural anti-inflammatory. The
negative ions
can do what 7.83 hertz can do just by putting, and it's free to just ground on your own, on the earth, on the beach, on the mountains, walking. But the problem is, who has 45 minutes a day, twice a day to do that? So ground therapy allows you to do it on your bed while you're sleeping. You don't even have to, it's the only healing modality that I know of that you are totally compliant. Like right now I'm compliant because my feet, I don't know about you, Dr. Siegel, but my feet are bare, and I have my little mat. Let me show you. This is my you got one of these, didn't you?
I did. It's in my other room where I sit most of the time.
That's right. And so my feet are bare right now, and that is protecting me from all the computers and all that. And it's helping my body relieve inflammation. So those are just some of the things that we can do now to go towards that goal that Dr. Siegel talked about. So with that in mind, I believe it ends tomorrow. Because it started on Friday last week, because Clint was on my show in the classroom on Wednesday. So it started on Friday because he said, give us some time, we'll get this ready for you. And it started on Friday, so it's still Friday, which is tomorrow, Valentine's Day. So get your sweetheart something, give them the IOU, because it takes about 7 days to get your purchases. So I just want to let you know that you still got one more day. 2-for-1 throws, 40% off. I got to get one. Your queen size, full size bed. It's a whole big mat, and then 25% off the socks and the bands. So those are. Can you believe it? Like if your feet are cold, you could put your little grounding socks on. How cool is that? Anyway, enough of that. So thank you so much, Dr. Siegel, for sharing your wisdom and your knowledge in the classroom today. I know that everybody that is in your presence, including myself, you are an incredible teacher and truly care, and you want to help everybody go towards nature, because all our answers are there, right?
It all exists there. Biomimicry.
That's right. And so you can go to pascovet.com. Also go to holistichealingvet.com to get your ebook.
And then to learn about raw food, EVOLOVERAW.com allows you to just start learning. Number one objection for people when they talk about raw food, oh, it has dangerous things in it, pathogens. Our food's all been treated with product that takes out E. coli, salmonella, and listeria, so there's no pathogens. You still handle it like raw food, but it's way safer than the food that you buy in Publix.
You thought of everything. Thank you so much. And I just absolutely adore you. I wish Max was still with us because I would bring him to you.
Aw.
And I've got some friends that love their pets as well. I know will drive to the Tampa area to bring
Thank you.
and honor their pets with you, guiding them along the way. So thank you very much. We're going to say goodbye right now so say goodbye, Dr.
Bye.
to our Facebook people, and we are also going to say goodbye to our YouTube. So thank you for watching, share, and let everybody know that this is something that you can choose. We'll see you soon.